Have you ever looked at a dirty old penny and thought it wasn't worth picking up? Most people do. They see a scratched, faded, brown coin and toss it into a jar or spend it without another thought. But that simple decision could cost them far more than they ever imagined. Some ordinary-looking pennies have surprised collectors by selling for hundreds, thousands, and in rare cases even more. One coin that continues to attract attention is the 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial log cabin set. At first glance, it looks like nothing more than an ordinary penny. Yet many people still search through pocket change hoping to find a valuable example hiding in plain sight. The story behind this coin makes it unlike almost every other modern penny. In 2009, the United States celebrated the 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Instead of producing only the familiar Lincoln Memorial design, the U.S. Mint released 4 different reverse designs, each showing a different chapter of Lincoln's life. The first design features a humble log cabin, representing his birth and early childhood in Kentucky. It reminds us that one of America's greatest presidents began life in a tiny wooden cabin with very little money and very few comforts. Millions of these coins entered circulation, and most people spent them without even noticing the new design. They jingled in pockets, disappeared into cash registers, rolled through vending machines, and ended up forgotten in jars across America. Years later, many people began looking back through their old change and discovered that the log cabin penny had become one of the most recognizable modern commemorative cents ever made. If you find one today, don't judge it too quickly. Even if it's dark brown, covered with scratches, or looks old and dirty, it could still deserve a closer look. The first thing to check is the date. It should read 2009. Then turn the coin over. Instead of the Lincoln Memorial, you should see the image of a small log cabin surrounded by simple details. That's the design that catches collectors' attention. Next, look below the date for the mint mark. Some coins have a D for Denver, some have a P-free design from Philadelphia with no mint mark, and others have an S if they were specially made for collectors. While many circulated examples are worth only a small premium, coins in exceptional condition or special collector versions can be worth much more. That's why experienced collectors never ignore one just because it looks ordinary. Condition plays a huge role in value. A coin that has spent years in circulation usually shows wear on Lincoln's face and the high points of the design. But every now and then, someone discovers a coin that somehow escaped heavy use. It may still have bright original luster, sharp details, and very few marks. Those are the examples collectors compete to own. Another reason people search these pennies is the possibility of unusual mint errors. Although errors are uncommon, they do happen. A coin struck off-center, with doubled details, or another noticeable mint mistake can become much more desirable. That's why many collectors inspect every 2009 log cabin cent carefully before deciding it's just another penny. Imagine cleaning out an old kitchen drawer after years of ignoring a jar filled with loose change. You dump hundreds of coins onto the table, expecting nothing more than pocket change. Then one penny catches your eye because the back doesn't look familiar. Instead of a memorial building, there's a tiny log cabin. Curiosity takes over. You begin researching the coin and suddenly realize it belongs to a special one-year series celebrating Abraham Lincoln's life. That simple discovery is exactly what keeps millions of Americans checking their spare change. Stories like these have fueled the popularity of coin collecting for generations. Valuable discoveries don't always happen at auctions or estate sales. Sometimes they begin with an ordinary handful of coins that everyone else overlooked. That's what makes this hobby so exciting. Every coin tells a story, and every handful of change carries the possibility of a surprise. The best part is that you don't need expensive equipment to start looking. A simple magnifying glass and good lighting are often enough to notice important details. Check the date, study the reverse design, look for unusual features, and compare your coin with known examples. Patience is often rewarded in this hobby because remarkable finds usually happen to people who take the time to look carefully. Even if your log cabin penny isn't worth a fortune, it still represents an important piece of American history. It honors the early life of Abraham Lincoln and reminds us that greatness can come from the humblest beginnings. That's one reason collectors enjoy building the complete 4-coin 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial set. So before you spend another penny or empty that forgotten coin jar into a counting machine, take a closer look. That dirty, scratched, ordinary-looking 2009 log cabin scent might be more interesting than you ever expected. The next valuable coin could already be sitting in your pocket, waiting for someone curious enough to notice it. Most people never give a second glance to a worn-out penny, especially one that looks scratched, faded, or covered in years of dirt. They assume it's worth exactly 1 cent and nothing more. But hidden among millions of ordinary-looking coins is a special penny that tells one of the most inspiring chapters in Abraham Lincoln's life. It's the 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial Professional Life in Illinois cent. And while many examples are only worth face value, certain coins have become highly collectible, with exceptional examples bringing impressive prices that surprise even experienced collectors. This coin represents the period when Abraham Lincoln left behind his simple beginnings and started building the career that would eventually change American history. The reverse design shows Lincoln standing in front of the Illinois state capitol in Springfield. It's a powerful reminder that every great journey begins with determination, hard work, and the courage to keep moving forward even when success seems far away. When these coins first entered circulation in 2009, most Americans treated them just like any other penny. They were handed out in grocery stores, dropped into tip jars, spent at gas stations, and forgotten in coin jars across the country. Few people realized they were part of a special 4-coin series celebrating the different stages of Lincoln's remarkable life. Today, that simple oversight has created an exciting treasure hunt. Collectors regularly search through rolls of pennies hoping to discover beautiful examples that escaped years of heavy circulation. Sometimes they find one with brilliant original color, sharp details, and almost no signs of wear. Those are the coins that often attract the strongest interest. If you find a 2009 penny, the first thing to do is check the reverse. Instead of the Lincoln Memorial, you should see Lincoln standing before the Illinois Capitol. That's the professional life in Illinois design. Next, look at the date and mint mark. Coins may have no mint mark if struck in Philadelphia, a D for Denver, or an S for special collector versions produced in San Francisco. Don't let a dirty appearance fool you. Many collectors know that cleaning a coin can actually reduce its value. Even if your penny looks dark or stained, leave it exactly as you found it until you know whether it has collector value. Original surfaces are usually preferred over cleaned ones. Condition is one of the biggest factors that determines value. A heavily worn coin may only be worth a small premium, but a sharply struck coin with bright original luster and very few marks can be much more desirable. That's why experienced collectors inspect every detail under good lighting before making a decision. Another exciting possibility is finding a mint error. While errors are uncommon, they do exist. A noticeable off-center strike, doubling, or other unusual production mistake can make an otherwise ordinary-looking penny much more valuable. These discoveries are rare, but they are one of the reasons people continue searching through pocket change every day. Imagine opening an old coffee can filled with pennies collected over many years. Collectors often say the greatest treasures are the ones hiding in plain sight. Valuable coins don't always shine like gold or silver. Sometimes they look ordinary, worn, and forgotten. The difference is knowing what to look for before someone else spins them away forever. This particular penny also reminds us of Lincoln's incredible journey. Before becoming one of America's greatest presidents, he worked hard as a lawyer and public servant in Illinois. His success didn't happen overnight. It came from years of dedication, learning, and perseverance. Many collectors enjoy completing the full 4-coin Bicentennial series, but the professional life in Illinois design remains one of the favorites because it represents the moment Lincoln's future truly began to take shape. It's more than just a penny. It's a symbol of ambition, determination, and the belief that ordinary people can achieve extraordinary things. So the next time you receive change from a store, don't rush to spend every penny. Take a closer look at each one. That dirty coin sitting unnoticed in your pocket today could become the highlight of your collection tomorrow. One careful glance could uncover a hidden treasure that thousands of others have already overlooked, and that possibility is exactly what keeps collectors searching every single day. At first glance, this penny doesn't look special at all. It's small, copper-colored, and probably covered with years of scratches, fingerprints, and dirt from changing hands thousands of times. Most people would spend it without a second thought. But what if that ordinary-looking coin was part of one of the most meaningful coin series ever released by the United States Mint? The 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial Presidency in Washington, D.C. cent is more than just another penny. It celebrates the moment Abraham Lincoln led the nation through one of the most difficult periods in American history, and today it remains one of the most searched for modern Lincoln cents. In 2009, the U.S. Mint honored the 200th anniversary of Lincoln's birth by releasing 4 different reverse designs. The final design represents his presidency in Washington, D.C. On the back of the coin, you'll see the unfinished Capitol dome. This wasn't chosen by accident. During Lincoln's presidency, the Capitol was still under construction, yet he insisted the work continue even while the nation faced the Civil War. To Lincoln, finishing the Capitol symbolized that the United States would endure despite every challenge. Millions of these coins entered circulation, but most people never noticed the special design. They were spent at grocery stores, dropped into vending machines, and mixed with ordinary pennies in jars across America. Years later, collectors began searching through those forgotten coins, hoping to find high-quality examples that survived in outstanding condition. If you find a 2009 penny, turn it over immediately. If you see the unfinished Capitol dome instead of the Lincoln Memorial, you've found the presidency design. Then check for the mint mark below the date. Some coins have no mint mark because they were struck in Philadelphia. Others have a D for Denver, while special collector versions carry an S mint mark from San Francisco. Many people think a dirty coin has no value, but experienced collectors know better. Never clean an old coin before having it examined. Cleaning can leave tiny scratches that reduce its collector appeal. A naturally aged coin is often worth more than one that's been polished to look shiny. Condition makes an enormous difference. A coin with crisp details, original mint luster, and very few marks is far more desirable than one that's heavily worn. That's why collectors carefully inspect every 2009 presidency cent they find. Most are common, but outstanding examples certified in top grades have sold for impressive prices because they are difficult to find in near-perfect condition. Another reason these pennies receive attention is the possibility of mint errors. Although uncommon, production mistakes such as off-center strikes or noticeable doubling can increase collector interest dramatically. These unusual coins remind us that even modern minting isn't perfect, and sometimes those imperfections become the most valuable feature of all. Imagine receiving a handful of change after buying a cup of coffee. Later that evening, you empty your pocket onto the table. Among the quarters, nickels, and dimes sits a worn little penny. Something about the reverse looks different, so you take a closer look. Instead of the familiar Lincoln Memorial, you see the unfinished Capitol dome. A few minutes of research reveals that you've discovered the final coin in the historic 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial series. That simple moment of curiosity transforms an ordinary penny into a fascinating piece of American history. This is exactly why millions of people enjoy coin collecting. Every coin carries a story. Most pass through countless hands unnoticed, but every once in a while, someone recognizes something special before everyone else does. Those discoveries don't always happen at expensive auctions. Sometimes they happen at the kitchen table while sorting through loose change collected over many years. The presidency cent also reminds us of Lincoln's leadership, courage, and determination. During one of the darkest chapters in American history, he refused to give up on the nation's future. The unfinished Capitol shown on the coin became a symbol of hope that the country would remain united and continue moving forward. Whether your coin is worth 1 cent or much more depends on its condition, rarity, and whether it has any unusual characteristics. But even if it isn't a high-value example, it remains an important collectible that completes one of the most meaningful modern penny series ever produced. So before you spend another penny without looking, remember that appearances can be deceiving. The scratched, faded coin resting quietly in your pocket today could be the very coin another collector has been searching for. Sometimes the greatest treasures are hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone curious enough to take a closer look. You made it to the final coin, and this one completes one of the most fascinating penny series ever released by the United States Mint. At first glance, it may look just like any other worn-out penny that has spent years bouncing around in pockets, cash registers, and old coin jars. It's scratched, discolored, and perhaps even covered in dirt. Most people would never imagine that this ordinary-looking coin could attract serious attention from collectors. But if you know what to look for, this final coin could be one of the most meaningful pieces in the entire 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial collection. The 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial Formative Years in Indiana cent honors Abraham Lincoln's teenage years when he lived in Indiana and developed the values that shaped the man he would later become. The reverse of the coin shows a young Lincoln taking a break from splitting logs while reading a book. That simple image tells a powerful story. Even after long days of hard physical work, Lincoln spent his free time educating himself. He had very little formal schooling, but his determination to learn changed the course of his life forever. When this coin entered circulation in 2009, millions of Americans spent it without realizing it was part of a special one-year series. It passed through grocery stores, restaurants, gas stations, and banks, eventually ending up in forgotten jars and piggy banks across the country. Years later, collectors began searching through those same jars, hoping to complete the entire four-coin bicentennial set. If you come across a 2009 penny, flip it over and study the reverse carefully. If you see a young Abraham Lincoln holding a book beside freshly split logs, you've found the Formative Years design. Next, check below the date for the mint mark. Coins from Philadelphia have no mint mark. Denver coins display a D, and collector versions from San Francisco carry an S. Don't let the coin's appearance fool you. Many valuable coins look dull, dirty, or heavily toned after years in circulation. In fact, experienced collectors usually recommend leaving the coin exactly as you found it. Cleaning can damage the original surface and lower its collector value. Condition is one of the biggest factors affecting price. Most circulated examples are common, but coins with sharp details, brilliant original color, and almost no wear are much harder to find. Those high-grade examples often receive the strongest interest from collectors, especially when professionally certified. Some collectors also search these pennies for unusual mint errors. While rare, an off-center strike, double design, or another noticeable production mistake can make a coin far more desirable. That's why every 2009 bicentennial cent deserves a careful inspection before being spent. Imagine cleaning out a drawer that hasn't been opened for years. Inside sits a small glass jar filled with pennies collected over decades. As you sort through them one by one, you suddenly notice a design you've never seen before. Instead of the Lincoln Memorial, there's a young Lincoln reading a book beside split logs. In that moment, an ordinary penny becomes a fascinating piece of history, and you realize that treasures aren't always hidden in museums or auctions. Sometimes they're hiding in your own home. This coin represents the power of education, determination, and perseverance. Lincoln's love of learning helped transform a poor frontier boy into one of the most respected leaders in American history. Every time you hold this penny, you're reminded that great achievements often begin with small steps and a willingness to keep learning. Now that you've seen all four 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial cents, the log cabin, Formative Years in Indiana, Professional Life in Illinois, and Presidency in Washington, D.C., you know why so many collectors search through their pocket change every day. Any one of these coins could still be hiding in circulation, waiting to be discovered by someone who knows exactly what to look for. So before you cash in your coin jar or spend another penny without looking, take a few extra seconds to examine each one. That scratched, dirty, ordinary-looking cent could be far more interesting than you ever imagined. And remember, the next incredible coin discovery might already be sitting quietly in your pocket, just waiting for you to find it.